name is Samantha Hawley, and my informative speech is about Padre Island National Seashore. Natural splendor and minimal intervention by human hands has kept Padre Island National Seashore preserved for many uses. To better understand the significance of this piece of land and how society came to preserve it, we should understand why and how this park came to be. I chose this topic because I'm passionate about history and plan to pursue a career in historical research and preservation. As we live close to this national park, and the residents of Corpus Christi often frequent it, learning about the history of the seashore will enhance the appreciation of existence. Today, I will be informing you about the purpose of Padre Island National Seashore by explaining its geographical features, history, and uses. According to a soil survey of the park done by Dennis Bronzina in 2017, Padre Island National Seashore lies along the southern Gulf Coast of Texas, extending about 66 miles long and 3.5 miles across. The total area of the park is 204 square miles, about half the size of San Antonio, Texas. At the end of the last ice age, around 18,000 years ago, is the current projection for the creation of the island, formed by soil deposition and sea erosion. It lies along the eastern boundary of Kleberg, Kennedy, and Willacy counties, separated from the mainland by Laguna Madre. The barrier island of the park that the park resides in offers the coast of Texas protection against hurricane and sea surges. Now that you know more about the geographical features of the land, we'll move on to human settlement. According to the Texas State Historical Association, humans have occupied this piece of land for quite some time before the foundation of a national park. Around 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, there was evidence of archaic native inhabitants that presided in the area. Later, the Karankawa and other native peoples traveled to the coast seasonally by boat until the mid-1800s to utilize the natural resources found there, such as naturally occurring tar, which they used to waterproof the exterior and interior of their canoes. It was not until Spanish intervention for ranching that native peoples began to depopulate the area. The first known land grant was awarded to Padre Jose Nicolas Bali, whom the island was named after in 1805 by the Spanish government. Tourism to the Gulf Coast in the 1920s exploded as automobiles made traversing land easier for the average American. Soon, the construction of a causeway between Flower Bluff and the island began. This enabled people to drive their cars to the island instead of taking the ferry. The development of a causeway enabled tourism revenue to skyrocket as people could enjoy driving along the playground of the Gulf. From this access, hotels could be built and fishing and boating accommodations could be offered to people traveling to the Gulf. In the early 1950s, there was a great push to create a national park on the island. The Advisory Board on National Parks recommended to the National Park Service that Padre Island be designated a seashore area, and on September 23, 1962, Congress passed this bill, which President John F. Kennedy signed into law. This bill was called the Padre Seashore Bill, which authorized the establishment of Padre Island National Seashore along the Gulf of Mexico. And on April 8, 1968, Mrs. Lyndon B. Johnson designated this strip of seashore before a crowd of 10,000 people. According to the National Park Service, camping, swimming, surfing, fishing, boating, and hiking are the main attractions on the Padre Island. Minimal distraction from the realities of modern life are a tempting escape for those who love nature and the outdoors. An information desk, a park store, and an exhibit room featuring details on the history, flora, and fauna of the park can be found in Malachite Visitor Center. The Laguna Madre is accessible from Bird Island Basin, which is to the west of the park. And access to the beach along the Gulf Coast can be found on the east side of the park, and the Grasslands Nature Trail can be found on the interior of the island. One way that the park engages in the conservation of wildlife is through the Division of Sea Turtle Science and Recovery, which focuses on the research, protection, and conservation of sea turtles. This program focuses on 5 endangered sea turtle species: Kemp's Ridley, sea green, loggerhead, hawksbill, and leatherback. Education is also an important aspect of the National Seashore. Some events that engage the community and promote public awareness are sea turtle hatchling releases, trash pickups, and school field trips. Visitors can also find information signs around the park that provide educational bits of information about the history of the park and the wildlife that inhabits it. Today, I informed you about Padre Island National Seashore by explaining its geographical features, history, and uses. I am hopeful now that you know more about the National Seashore that you can appreciate what it has to offer and more. Thank you.